We have got a packed show for you here today. I have invited a very dear friend and ex-colleague of mine, actually. So we used to work together at the lender. So she'll give her intros to where she is. But we used to actually work together, but only very, very, very briefly. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, we worked together mostly remotely than we did, together. But I have watched her take on the role and really excel in it. So I really wanted to invite her back to find out what she's up to, her journey, what she's been doing, because of the pandemic, I have to add, we haven't seen each other for like 3 years. So it would be just really nice to reconnect with her and to catch up. Now, the show is packed with things about working in strong female teams. We're going to be touching on the menopause. This woman brings 28 years experience within the financial services sector. She's worked as a mortgage broker, as a lender, as an account manager, business development. So she's got a lot of experience in this financial world. So who better than the money honey for you today? That is Sally Precious Ward from Together Money. She is also, by the way, an adrenaline junkie. I know she is. So I am going to be quizzing her on that later as well. So I cannot wait to have her on the show. So stay tuned because I'm about to bring in Sally.
Hi, Roz.
You with me? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. It's so nice to see you again.
I know. And do you know what? Like, we've had a few chats over the phone and we've caught up, and you've been such and I have to tell you, I appreciate this so, so much that you have been a cheerleader in the wings for me. Like, I really, really value the fact that you've checked in on me, since leaving the bank. Like, you've checked in on my business, you've supported me, you've sent me text messages saying, well done. You've called me. Like, I really, really, really appreciate it.
Oh, no, it's my pleasure. And it's lovely to see you absolutely just fly what you've done differently, because it could have been very different. Obviously, redundancy is always difficult when that happens. So I can remember texting you actually when I saw a different job advertised in the early days, yes, just to say, oh, Roz, have you seen this? You were like, I've got something else on the horizon, but thanks for the heads up. And then all of a sudden I saw you all over LinkedIn all of a sudden. And so congratulations to you as well.
Oh, thank you, Han. Like you did. I'm sure we can say this, but you helped me through as in you were part of the redundancy. What do they call it? Consultation.
As an employee, an employee rep. I was at the time. Yeah, so
exactly.
It's difficult because you're speaking to lots of different people and how it affects them, and you're there in a professional capacity. But it is really difficult because I was obviously at risk myself. So there's kind of an emotional piece there about wondering what your future holds. So
you went
it's a shame we didn't. Yeah, shame we didn't get to continue working together, but it's nice to reconnect on here instead.
Yeah, and we will in different capacities. So, I respect you as a leader in this industry, and here you are on the show. So in a second, we're going to jump into your career history and what you've prepared for us for the show today, because I know you've got some important topics that are close to your heart that you want to discuss. And who knows, we might, I've been working with ex-colleagues and actually new lenders, and I'm still in the industry, and I everything happens for a reason. I don't regret what happened. I have nothing but good things to say. Whenever someone asks, I always have that cheeky, like, yeah, I used to work for a lender that you might know. And they're like, who? I'm like, your favorite lender of all time. And they're like, who? And I'm like, Together Money, of course. Like, and I always kind of have that satisfaction that I can say that I worked there, because it was truly a highlight in my career. I wouldn't be here today if I didn't have that stopgap. It into a stopgap. So you're still there. How's it going? Tell me, update me, what's happening?
Yeah, it's good. Brilliant. Yeah, so I am still here as an account manager, and I think that's one of the things that I will cover off with you today, just about career progression and how things happen in the industry. But yeah, so I've done, I don't want to talk about my whole career background, but As you said, I've got 28 years in the industry and feel like I've kind of done a bit of everything. Being a mortgage broker myself, so then I can have empathy when I'm out with mortgage brokers about the difficulty that they've got in their job. Being a financial advisor, although I quickly made an exit from that because it's a lot harder having difficult conversations with people about finances dropping. But you help them buy a house, you get a bouquet of flowers. So I thought, that's a nice bit to be. And then I've been on the back end of the business, so people where they've got high risk portfolios that might have been in arrears after the market crash in 2008. And then when I got made redundant finally from that role, which was quite a while coming, I thought I want to be back in the front end, in the sales, out doing relationship management, because it's what I enjoy doing the most. So here I am at Together. But I think, as you say, it's a great lender to work for as well, because we do so much. We've got a product for everything. So it's quite hard. It's quite a taxing job from being an account manager. I have to say, you have to know a lot about everything that we do, but they're a brilliant business and can help so many people. So
that's why I say I was so I'm so smug about having worked at Together, and I feel like it's a badge of honor, because I remember what it felt like being a BDM, right? And I used to have to learn of such a wide range of products. But when I used to go and see the brokers, and they say, "Oh, Roz, but I can't call you. You're expensive. You're this." When they did call me, the smile on my face, because I knew that at that moment I needed to, all hands on deck. I needed to help them as much as possible, because we were the right lender for them at that time. And the relief that they got from me answering the phone, and they said, "I know I said I'd never call you, but I need you so badly. Like, I need you to help me with this deal." And I'm like, yes, we are so willing to lend and help. And that's the culture that we had at Together. It's like, we're here when you need us. But actually, I'm sure the products have come a long way as well, where you can actually do a lot more than,
Yeah, but we've been a specialist lender now 50 years, and that is what Together have always done, and it is still what we are doing. So we are not lending. You're not ringing us because you're rate shopping. And back in the day, I was a BDM for Mortgage Express, and that's what they would ring. What is your rate on this? And it's quite an easy sell when you're selling on rate. People aren't coming to us at Together for rate. They are coming to us because they need us for something specific. And we lend on weird and wonderful scenarios, and have got some pretty special criteria to help people out. So it is definitely nice to be able to help people. And I think so I've always said, working in the financial, if I could have my time again, would I choose financial services as my arena to be in, or would I do something that was more, I want to say, meaningful? So one of my best friends is a consultant up at the local hospital in the neonatal unit. So when we talk about, I've had a stressful day at work, someone's mortgage didn't complete, and she'll be like, saved a baby's life. I'm like, okay, you trumped me. And but I feel that she gets a job satisfaction that maybe I will not experience in that same way. But what I do think is that in this role, so relationship management and people skills and all those kinds of things that I am passionate about, I do all that. I nurture relationships in that way. I just do it within the world of financial services rather than.
But I have to say, Sally, that is, without your health, right? That's your friend's arena. And the next, what else other than our health, right, is so important. But money, wealth, you are in the next most important sector of the world, in my opinion. So you've got health and wealth. Like, if someone not completed on their mortgage has a much more it's actually much more important than you think, right? So
it has a good positive impact for people.
Absolutely.
Certainly. Yeah,
it's people's livelihoods, it's people's homes, it's having a roof over your head. That's why we're on a mission to make sure that each case is as smooth as possible, because the person at the other end of the phone, we don't know what they're buying for. Maybe they're escaping a really traumatic experience in their life, and they need their own home, they need their independence, and that mortgage completion is life changing. So I believe that you are changing the world with the job that you're doing. You absolutely are. Definitely.
Maybe. I'm not quite a neonatal consultant, but I think it is good to understand that you do still make a difference somewhere in your job, and having that tangible aspect to it, understanding what it is that you're doing and being able to help. You are right.
So talk to us about your career progression and how you've navigated the financial services space over the past 28 years, and what have been your highlights?
Yeah, do you know what? It's really important, I think, to talk about this subject of being women in finance, because you've got to acknowledge that there is still a gap and a long way to go being female in the industry. However, I do also think it's really important to celebrate quite how far we have come. And I can say after 28 years, there is some significant and massive differences that I can see within the industry. And you think about things like the gender pay gap, and companies are reporting every year on the gender pay gap. And I long for the day when there isn't a need for a report on a gender pay gap, because there just isn't a gap of pay between genders. We're not there yet. However, I think what we need to celebrate, rather than getting too het up about we're not there, let's celebrate how far we've come on that journey, the fact that there is a report to acknowledge that there is this gap and we need to do something about it. And we're certainly a lot further on than we were a while ago. I will share a little anecdote with you about salary, and a conversation that I had when I interviewed, and it was actually when I interviewed for Together, and I was asked the question by somebody in the interview and said, "Oh, what salary is it that you're on now?" And I said that I didn't feel that the question was relevant, what salary I was on now. I said, because I've actually come to interview for a role as an account manager with Together, and I would expect that you would offer me a fair salary in accordance with what you think that I'm worth in that job. And we talked a lot in the interview about kind of values within the company and everything like that. And I said, that will tell me more in you making me this offer about what your values are as a company, rather than you just telling me about them in the interview. Because if you make me an offer that I feel is invalid or I'm worth more, then you've made me feel worthless before I've even started. And I remember sharing that story, and someone was like, "Oh my God, I'd never have the confidence to say that." I wasn't rude in the way that I said it, but I just said that I felt it was not something that needed to be talked
Sally,
about.
that is, if anyone just is in the process of applying for a job, or in transition from one job to another, or is interviewing, write that statement down. I wish I had that. I wish when I applied for jobs, I've always been considered, oh, you're so confident. But sometimes you might be confident, but it takes experience to also be able to articulate a response as well as you just did there, Sally. And what was the reaction? What was their reaction?
They took it really well. They said that to that question, that usually someone would just automatically give a figure, and then it's very much based about, you say, I don't know, I earn X amount of pounds now in this job, and then in their head they go, well, we'll offer maybe a little bit more if it's a different job, to try and lure them across. But working for, I've already kind of said that I love working for Together, and they're a brilliant company for many, many ways. But the values, it was certainly a piece that attracted me to the business as well, because I was not going to make a switch to a company that would make me feel undervalued. I think just recognising that as a woman in the business, you are, the back foot is not the right thing to say, but I feel like you've got to prove yourself. I've always felt that in my career, and that's what I've spent my career doing, is feeling that I need to give a little bit more than somebody else might be giving, just to show that I am as good as, if not better than, a male maybe doing exactly the same job as me.
Yeah, you're not alone in that, Sally. I think every single guest on the show, as well as including myself, including people that haven't even been on the show, everyone says the exact same thing. They are either undervalued, underestimated. They feel like they have equal or more knowledge to their male counterpart, but because of their female identity, they tend to be held back. But that has not been the case for your super female empowering team, right? Talk to us about the dynamic of your team.
Yeah, well, it's not, but I will still acknowledge that there are those kind of things that happen within this industry, because as females, we don't shout. I would not walk through the office declaring I've had a bumper month and I've written this much business this month and beat my chest as I went along, or I find that I can't talk about myself in that way. I mean, writing positive things about myself, if you have to write something, award ceremonies that are all coming up at this time of year, why should you win this award? Why should I just like, don't nominate me for the award. I don't want to write that. I don't want to write this stuff about myself. And I think males find it easier to sing their own praises and say that, whereas I prefer to do it in my actions, in how I work, to kind of prove this is what I'm doing. But within my team at Together, I am really lucky. So I work in quite a female strong team anyway. And if anyone's seen the press recently, so a colleague of mine, Michelle, has recently been promoted to head of commercial finance. So she is now my line manager, and she'll be absolutely, well, she's already proven, she's only been in the role a month and she's brilliant already. And then our director of sales is Tanya Elmas, who I've worked with for a number of years.
I've worked with Tanya as well. Oh, she was so helpful in my getting started at Together. We worked. So I won't cut you off, but I'm just shout out to Tanya. But
she needs to be on here. She should come on.
She does. She's been invited. She has been invited. Tanya, you are being called to the podcast one more time. But so Tanya, you've got Michelle. Who else?
Got Michelle. So I've got just in my immediate team. Then we've got Annette. I've got Cara. There's Gemma. That are account managers. There's Joe Elton, who's in the.
Oh, I remember Joe.
Yeah. So we're quite a strong female presence. There are some males that are in the team as well, to keep it evenly balanced. But one of the things that has been really celebrated and really encouraged with Tanya is differences within the team and diversity within the team. So we are not all, even though there's lots of females, we are different in personality and ways of working, in what our strengths are, but and the males as well, I included within this. But because we are all so different, we all bring something to the table.
Yes.
Rather than have a clone. And I think sometimes with BDM type roles, people expect, here's your job role, and it fits, and you fit in this profile, and this is what you do. But actually, we're all bringing different skills, and it's all celebrated. So yeah, I'm certainly, as far as being a woman in financial services at the moment, I know there's many other businesses that have also got some strong female leaders.
Yes.
That you had the other week. Actually, I've connected with Juliana from HTB.
Yes.
Her and I, again, a LinkedIn connection. Just started having a little chat, and we got chatting about your podcast as well. So
love it.
Yeah, but there's more female presence, so it is nice to see that there is that support there as well. Yeah. And also it's giving, within Together, I'm certainly seeing that it's giving younger females a real influence, some encouragement there, that they feel that there's a good career progression for them, that they don't feel stifled in this environment, that they can see that there is many opportunities for people to go for.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've always felt very welcomed, very embraced in the space of financial services. Have there been incidences on a private note, where there's been a few individuals that have just made things awkward? Yes, of course, but that happens in any industry. I feel that the financial services space, though, gives me that safe space to be able to turn to a colleague or a friend or someone who understands what I've been through. There is no perfect industry. Like, oh gosh, let's talk about, do you want to enter fashion, beauty, right? Gosh, like how intense would they be, right? Yeah, you may find more women in that space, maybe beauty, but actually that's not a perfect industry. It's got its flaws as well for it being so female heavy. I actually love working with men and a diverse range of people, because I want to learn from other people, and I can't learn always from the same type of demographic. I like to be exposed to different, and I get that from financial services. I'm satisfied in that arena. I feel like we need to do more in the, I was talking in a previous podcast about LGBTQ. There was a big movement, and there was a big community Together for that as well. Is that still the case?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We've got, so we have still steering groups around that. We also have steering group Women at Together. There's they really encourage kind of a diverse working environment, so it is very positive there. They do some brilliant stuff in the background. I think people sometimes don't see the half of what a company like ours is actually doing. You say about the beauty industry, though, it's quite interesting that you mentioned that, because there's the grooming gap as well that you could mention in financial services, about how a woman is expected to be groomed versus how maybe a male would be expected to be groomed. Yeah, although I'm probably trailblazing that slightly, because I had a nasty accident a few years ago and broke my ankle in 3 places. So it's healed to allow me to do certain activities, but it's not healed properly. So high heels are a no-no for me now. So corporate dressing is not something that I can't wear a suit. I don't like it with a pair of flats. So yeah, it's quite often commented on about funky boots that I wear or trainers with my dresses, but that's why. But yeah, I'm bridging the grooming gap for us as well.
Yeah, so I think that's at least from what I can see, like I love getting dressed up, right? I'm not gonna lie. I've always had this thing that I have to wear heels because I'm really, really short. And that's not because someone else has told me that I need to wear heels. I don't feel like that there's that pressure. I just feel nicer when I'm in a pair of heels and I feel like I can reach people's normal height in comparison to mine. I just like being able to be on the same. But you know, recently I've been getting really into my trainers as well. And I feel like financial services, I don't know about you, but especially in my line of work, when I'm helping people identify their brand and really get to grips with their brand, it also comes down to clothing. And I have helped, I can't tell you how many finance property professionals or commercial brokers or mortgage brokers change their wardrobe and relax them and get rid of that corporateness, because they're like, but Roz, don't you want me to do the videos in my suit? I'm like, do not bring that suit to the video. I am not recording you in a suit. And they're like, well, what should I
away? Yeah.
And I actually did a video the other day. I enjoyed it so much. We did a TikTok with a property finance specialist, and I got to do a video where he was wearing a suit, and then he basically takes the suit off and he's into a t-shirt. So we did like a transformation. And I'm really glad you raised that point, because I've actually started to notice more and more brokers starting to relax their look, you know, show their tattoos. You know, you've got like the bearded mortgage broker, you've got the tattooed mortgage broker, and everyone's starting to come out of their shell a bit. So are you saying that for females, there's still a little bit of like you have to be in a different kind of format?
No, I don't feel it anymore.
I
think that would certainly be something that I would say has progressed massively. So I'm going back now. So I'll tell you 2 little stories about a previous role that I had. One of them is the grooming gap. So I'd put a pale pink tint in my hair, and my manager at the time said, or the senior manager said to my manager at the time, can you tell Sally that she needs to get rid of it because it's not appropriate for her in a customer facing role to have her hair tinted pink. Blonde, brown and black are normal hair colours. I complied as well, Roz. I complied. I bought Vocine. It's like scrubbing it all out. It's crazy. But it was the same management at the time. When I returned from maternity leave, and my children are now 13 and 11, and this was after Lola, so I'm going back 13 years ago now. Anyway, returned to work, and I was dealing with property portfolios that were high risk, had arrears, doing some debt restructuring, things like that. And they gave me a bunch of new clients to deal with when I returned to work. And that was about September time. And then December, having my end of year appraisal. And they said to me, so there's only 1 grade we can give you this year for the year, January to December. And that's a developing grade. Because you've been on maternity leave, we can't grade you as anything else. You've not been fully functioning in the role. And again, 13 years ago, I just accepted that was the way it was. Just thought, oh, okay, yeah, I've been on maternity leave, so I must be developing. I must not know everything. And it's only now with retrospect, I'm like, I went back to work. I was capable enough to have a whole new batch of clients to deal with. I was sent out on my own to do this remote working role. But I was developing at the same time. Whereas, I mean, I genuinely think you would not get that. Well, if you got that in an industry now or in a return to work, people would be absolutely astounded and think it was outrageous. But
I'm so glad you're thank you for putting yourself in such a vulnerable position, Sally, because how can we learn if we've never been in these situations? Maybe someone who's listening is going through that right now, and thanks to you, they're like, actually,
that is not okay.
Yeah, that is not okay. And they don't know how to address that is not okay. And it just takes for one other person to say, actually no, that you need to be addressing this situation in a different light.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. Again, where were all these things when I needed I feel like I should have met you like 20 years ago, because when I was growing into my roles, I've been, you know, told all different things like, oh, you know, you, because of your age, we cannot pay you as someone else who's got, but I'm like, but I'm hitting my target just as much as everyone else is. Like,
Yeah.
what's my age got to do with sales? I then also didn't get paid or didn't get given a pay rise because I still didn't have my driving license. And I was like, I don't need my car to do the job. Like, why do you want me to call you from the car? Like, I don't need the car to do the job, and
Yeah.
I'm still hitting my target. So I don't understand why the car is important. If you
Yeah.
then require me to travel somewhere, I'm such a resourceful person. What if I don't want to drive? What if I want to get the bus? What if I want to get the train? So like, there's all these things, and I don't know if that happened because I was a woman. That's not what they said, but that happened because I definitely, with all the confidence I had, I still didn't know how to fight my corner in an intelligent and experienced way. And this is just pure gold, Sally. This is amazing.
Yeah, I don't know as well. I mean, when I say how far we've come, I am really fortunate to work for who I work for now, and how far and how kind of forward thinking they are in their attitude. And as you say, it not even crossed my mind until you just said, oh, if there's people listening to this now, there might be other companies that are not as forward thinking as we are, and maybe people still are getting that kind of return to work, the
So
stay at home. But I don't know.
No, I totally agree with you, Sally. What could we give as an actionable, call to action to anyone listening who is trying to develop their career and has been held back for lots of different reasons, whether it's their hair, their tattoo, their gender? How could we help that listener today with something actionable?
Yeah, again, I don't know if this is me, if this is part of my own maturity as well, but I'm really now comfortable in my own skin. I feel content with how I am. And so I know my own worth more now than maybe I did back then. And so I couldn't determine, I accepted it at the time. I mean, I've always been quite feisty, so it surprises me that I did accept it. So maybe it was just the era, and that's why I accepted that that's what it was. But as you're saying, when you talk about beards, tattoos, whatever, you are you as a human, but you're a person, and I think people buy people, and it's nice to just show a little bit of your own personality in any job that you're doing, rather than the corporate is very stiff, really, isn't it?
Exactly.
That approach. Yeah. So
yeah.
it's more fun now, I think, that it is widely accepted.
100%.
And there's always going to be things. I mean, you're young sometimes, and some of the things that you're talking about then, decisions that have been made for you. You haven't got a driving license, you can't have it, or you can't have this pay rise because you're not as old as this other person. That doesn't really matter at all. Then you get to an age as a woman, you have children, so you're off work for a little bit, and you have this career gap, and then you come back, and then there's something else to fight against. I'm currently I'm fighting the corner of the menopause, and I'm pleased that there's some trailblazing celebrities out there that are talking about it now.
Yes, so we didn't touch on that subject. So let's jump onto the subject of the menopause, because there has been a specialist, an actual expert in this field that has come on the show. You may have all seen her before, Claire Knox from See Her Thrive. So I highly recommend watching that show, because she talks about how she helps people with menopause and severe PMS navigate the place of work. So why is that a subject important to you, and how are you addressing it? You said you're kind of pioneering or taking the lead on this.
Well, because I think, do you know, it comes suddenly, there's perimenopause, and you haven't got a clue, and you get all these symptoms from it. And I've got a brilliant group of girlfriends, so we talk about things, but we've all had different symptoms. They don't know what it is. I mean, there's a list really, as long as you're around, that you can have. So people just go, oh, it's a few hot flushes and feeling a bit sorry for yourself. But I'm like, there's anxiety that goes with it. There's brain fog that goes with it. There's tinnitus, vertigo, mood swings, anger rages, lack of concentration, hair loss. There's tons, eyesight changes. I think I'm back to the opticians next week about that. There's all these things that go on in the background. And I always have a joke at work, and I say I would love to go to a senior leadership meeting. I'd like to crank the thermometer up to 40 degrees, sprinkle a little bit of itching powder on everybody, maybe give them like a really strong painkiller, like tramadol or something, so they've got a bit of brain fog, and then lay out the agenda on the table. Now, I appreciate it's very illegal to do that. I would never be able to do it. But I say I would really like for the males to experience sometimes how a woman feels when they are sitting in that environment and suddenly, out of the blue, you get an intense heat like you could not imagine.
Really?
Yeah, and can't concentrate. Female colleague of mine, went to do a massive presentation the other week and just had this complete freeze, talking about social media, subject that's an absolute expert in. And she said, I just lost my train of thought in this presentation, panicked, it was awful. I said, the reality is it would not be as awful as she imagined it being. But again, brain fog, just having this moment and think it's just part of it really for something. But it's not known. We do all go through it, and there is a bit of a male equivalent when they reach middle age. There's a few symptoms. They don't get as many as the ladies.
Wow.
But, yeah.
And not that I want them to get it, but like I want them to understand and be accommodating, because obviously I've not been through it. But on my scale, you know, if I had a really bad day, like I spoke about this before, right? If I'm having, you know, severe PMS, I wouldn't feel comfortable going to my male manager. Imagine like when they say, right, after work drinks, we're all going to go out, and you're like, I just want to go home because I'm feeling so rough, and I can't tell you why I'm feeling rough, because this is just a taboo subject, and I can't, you know, and I miss out on opportunities, because if all the lads are going to the pub and you're all going to talk about, you know, work and clients, and, you know, then I'm at home with a hot water bottle, because the parties or the socials that are arranged perhaps aren't accommodating to how women are feeling in that place, or like, you know, we have to make sure that wherever we go, we have a bathroom, right, guys?
Yeah.
Like, you know, sometimes they're like, oh, we're just going to play on the golf pitch. You're like, on the golf course. But you're like, that's quite far from the bathroom. If on that day, you know, and what can we do? Like, the golf course is a golf course, right? But it's just, how do we have those conversations, still feel included, still feel welcome, and without interrupting the meeting and being like, oh, sorry guys, I'm having a hot flush, I need to, you know what I mean? Like, it's really hard, it's still taboo.
Yeah, that's why I think it's great to be able to talk openly about this. When I came on, I thought I'm gonna talk about it. There's nothing to be embarrassed about with it. It's something that all women go through, and it's just part and parcel of it. So, but I think when you do talk about it, and sometimes when I didn't know half the symptoms. So one of my girlfriends, when she said, oh my God, my skin is so itchy, I was like, I did not know that was a thing. Vertigo, another one. I've had a friend bedridden with vertigo repeatedly, little short bouts of it. And then it's like, read about symptoms, said it's part of perimenopause as well. So just,
oh no.
Yeah, there can be so many things out there, but it's great that you are doing podcasts like this, and then you can raise a little bit of awareness for
absolutely. If they feel like, you know, they can't talk about it in the workplace, maybe this is the platform. I wanted to create a safe space where everyone could just talk about whatever was close to their heart, whatever they wanted to raise awareness. And so many friendships have been formed offline where people have said, oh, I listened to your show, can I ask you for some help? And so many things are going on behind the scenes. Everyone always asks me, oh, Roz, how many downloads and plays do you have on your show? I was like, I don't know, but my inbox is blowing up. I don't even know. I was like, I don't know how many people have watched the show. I'm not tracking those numbers right now. I know I need to, and I will be. But right now, it's just about the lives that we are engaging with. You know, I get private messages from people saying that show was exactly what I needed to hear today. And that's it. That's all that matters on any given day. So this is very important, Sally. Thank you for putting yourself in that vulnerable position to, with your voice, your name, and you representing and standing up for these important subjects. I know people will benefit from this, listening to your show.
Well, we'll keep it real. I say keep it real. I've got the camera facing this way, Roz. The real reality of being a woman in finance working from home, if I flipped it round, there is washing hanging out this side. There's actually been a chair put in the hallway because we're recording this just as the kids are about to hair in from school. They'll come in the door, so I've put a chair with a note on there so they'll realise that the chair's in the wrong place to start with, and then a big note that says, shh, Please do not interrupt. So that is the reality of what's actually going on. It's not just me with my hair brushed and clear background.
Same for me. Like it's Friday, it's the end of the week. I've not been at home for a couple of days because I've been traveling. So my washing is in the wrong, anyway, chaos going on. But before we bring this show to a close, you've spoken so much about how proud you are of your career, your employer, how great they are. Great subjects that you've raised, but I really want to know about Sally, right? So how do you take care of Sally? I ask this question to everyone who's in high flying careers. They are workaholics because let's face it, Sally, you're like me. You care so much. You do work a lot. But I mentioned earlier a little clue that you're a bit of an adrenaline junkie. Is that still the case? How are you doing it?
Yeah, so when you talk so I am just going to cover off quickly when you say workaholic and everything else. That is one thing that I have taken a step back from, and I have conversations now. So when Michelle was recently promoted into role, I rang Tanya and I was like, I just want to talk to you about why I don't want this job, but I'm just wondering, me not wanting this job, why I'm not capable of doing that job and going for it. And she said, right, so you're ringing me to talk to me about why you're not capable or think you're not capable of doing a job that you don't even want to go for. I was like, yes, that's exactly what I want to talk. So, which is like, okay, make total sense. We have a lot of conversations like this. And we talked, she said, it's not at all that you're not capable of doing this job. She said, but I think the subject is you don't want it. Now, I'm really comfortable. I've reached a point in my career where I don't want to progress anymore. I want to be the best at what I'm doing, and I want to be respected in the role that I'm doing. But I don't want to give anymore because I want to look after my own health and well-being, and I want to be a real integral part of my family. My kids are growing up, they're hitting teenage years. They don't suddenly not need you. They need you more really with teenage years, and I don't know how we're going to navigate that. So I'll come on in 5 years' time and tell you. But my health and well-being is massively important to me. So I do, and I enjoy my exercise. I've just been on a hiking trip again with a girlfriend. We went to Spain for a few days and did some hiking in ravines. That was actually me out of my comfort zone because sheer drops is a bit of a fear for me. But we were like, no, let's go do it. So yeah, I just keep myself really active, getting involved with things. Love traveling with friends, love traveling with my family as well. My little ones, we go and do crazy things, homestays, wherever we go. We're going to Bali this year. We're going to stay with a local family for a few days so the kids can go to the local school and just enjoy everything that's going on outside of the financial services world as well. So
I love that, Sally. I'm so glad you corrected me and said, actually, I don't identify anymore as a workaholic. Yes, thank you for saying that, because actually sometimes I use that as a bit of a trophy. I'm like, yeah, I'm a workaholic. No, why am I proud of that? Like, I should not be proud of that. I'll own up to it. I am, honestly, I'll be completely honest. Yes, I've seen being a workaholic as a sign of strength. Okay.
Yeah.
I have learned recently that is absolutely not the case. And I still, compared to the average person, I'm only saying that because everyone I speak to is like, oh my God, you do so much. And my reaction is, I slowed down, but they still think I do so much. And I think, Sally, if I do a self audit, I'm actually slower and a bit more selective with what I do. And yet people, it still comes across like I do a lot. So I'm going to have to accept that obviously it's just my personality, it's my energy. I am able to take on a lot more because I get energy from being busy and I get energy from doing stuff. But actually, I've actually slowed down.
Yeah. But do you know what? If you are a workaholic and you enjoy being it, and that's where you get your energy from, that is okay. And that's what I've learned in my team at work and working with Tanya. Tanya has also said to me, that is okay. You saying, I don't want, so when we have career progression meetings, what's your career progression plan? I'm like, I'd love to do a 4-day week.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, right, not sure it's going to work in a sales role. People need you 5 on your phone and things. But that is my aim. My aim is to win more time back for me. That's and again, true. That's okay. It's like you be you, and I'll be me.
You know what? Sally, I want to share again. So since starting the business, right, when I was in year 1, year 2, now I'm approaching year 3 in September. I can't believe I'm saying those words out loud. But everyone keeps asking, like, oh, so what's next for Manuka Media? I was like, and my reaction is literally this. I'm like, before we talk about what's next, let me just tell you what is on my plate right now. Like, sometimes it's not about thinking about the next thing. It's about addressing what I've got in front of me right now. And what happened to good old maintenance, right? It almost feels like maintaining isn't even a goal anymore. It's like, right, I've made it to year 3, guys. Can we just take a moment that I'm actually here? Like, I'm actually here. And for me, it might be that in year 4, if I can just do what I did in year 3, that would be a result. That would be absolutely epic, rather than, people are like, you're going to hire. Oh, and I've had the question, Sally. So is it just you? I know what they're asking around, they're pussyfooting around, if you could say that, around the question, which is, what's going to happen when you have a baby? Well, that's the question they really want to ask, because what they're asking is that, is it just you at the moment? Or, if you're too busy or you're not available, who takes over? And you're like, who do you want to speak to? Like, who is it that you're trying? But I do have a team now, not because I'm only other than I'm a business owner and I need to work on the business as well as in the business. So I need technical people around me to help me deliver, things like video editing and digital marketing campaigns and things like that. But I think everyone, is thinking like, what's your next?
But you know what? Just tell them, Roz, you're a woman, you can do it all.
Oh my gosh. Right. So I've had women on the show that have actually announced for the first time live on the show that they're pregnant, and they've been
not me today.
No, not you. No, it's not Sally. No, but there's been a particular actually I can say it because she has already announced it. So Lindsay has been on the show. She's been a client of mine, and then she came on the show, and I found out privately that she was pregnant, but she hadn't said anything. And I was like, oh, you're on the show, on the Money Honey. According to my values, I can't keep that a secret. So I won't reveal it for you. But if you want to reschedule for when you've had, she was like, do you know what, Roz? Let's just announce it on the show. It'll be the first time I've ever said it out loud that I'm pregnant. And it was this fear, and she's spoken about this on her LinkedIn. It was this fear that she's a female in property and she's a commercial finance broker. And she was like, how am I going to tell my clients that I'm going off to have a baby? They're going to think I'm unavailable. So there is still this stigma, it's scary.
They're not going to be around. They're going to be defunct once they have that baby for a while. And there is still a stigma, I guess, around that and having some time off. But it is also okay to say, I want some time off. I want to spend. I said with my first one, I was like, I went 3 months full pay, whatever it was, and I had 3 months off work, and then I'm going to go straight back. And I cried the day I got home from hospital. Just said, I can't go back to work after 3 months. It's like, just let's not think about that today. You don't have to go back to work after 3 months. But it's a big, you don't know how you're going to feel with things as well, but it is possible that you can do lots of things. It doesn't stop you doing things. I mean, even when you're talking about my travels as well, I've taken the kids with me. We have gone all over the world. We went trekking in Vietnam when Casper was 4 years old. I look back at the photos now, I don't know what I was thinking. Poor kid with a backpack on, hiking boots. But they can still see the world. You can still do things that people think are not possible. So pregnancy is certainly not going to stop Lindsay anyway, that's for sure.
Exactly. No, she is. Oh my gosh, she's not only is she a phenomenal business owner, friend, daughter. She's so fantastic, but what a mother she's going to be. And it's about embracing all the roles that we can play. We are literally this body of ours can do so much, and we can have a career, we can have the babies, we can do it all, but it's okay not to. So thank you so much for sharing such kind words with the people listening today, Sally. If people want to find you, where's the best place? Is LinkedIn the best place? Because that's what
I think LinkedIn probably, or my social profiles are all set down really, apart from those for friends only. But LinkedIn,
that's fine, because you've been smashing it on LinkedIn lately. I've seen your content recently. So definitely connect with Sally. All the notes will be in the show notes. And if you enjoy this conversation, please share it. Please give Sally a thumbs up on Spotify or YouTube. Give us some love, give us some support. Thank you again, Sally, for being here with me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Roz. It's lovely to see you.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.